tonight on Capitol Hill, a high-stakes budget showdown put one of the most controversial issues in American politics back under the microscope, the border wall. And this time, it was not just about immigration policy, it was about the math.
Secretary knows, everybody knows, that's the end. We're going to try to move on to the next person to get you out of here. We talked a little bit about the wall earlier. The administration has asked for $46.5 billion for the wall. The border on the Mexican border is about 1,950 miles. We've fenced or walled about 700 of it. That leaves about 1,200 miles. There's 200 or 300 miles of it that probably never going to have a fence on. It's mountainous or just impossible to fence or wall. So I would say realistically, you got under 1,000. But let's just say there's 1,000. You really want to wall on 1,000. CBP says it's 6.5 million per mile. Your response today was 12 millions per mile. That means $12 billion for 1,000 miles. We're off here by a factor of 3 or 4 with 46 billion. Where's the rest of the 46 billion? The administration says they want 46 billion for a wall. You could pave all of it and still have, 34 billion left over. What's the 34 billion going for?
Yeah, Senator, thank you for the question. We do have 702 miles of wall today. 598 of that are steel. The rest of that is temporary that's in place. Since the president's been in office, over 70 miles has been erected. We have 11 contracts that have gone out and allocated. We also have 5 more that are pending. Based on the dollars that have been requested, it's not just the infrastructure that would be built, that would be the actual wall construction. It would be also surveillance equipment.
The number's way off. 1,000. You could do 1,000 miles for 12 billion. You're asking for 46 billion. So I'm one who's not impressed and would have to see more detail as to where the rest of the money goes. We can't just throw $30 billion out there and say things cost a lot.
I agree. We'll get you the specifics on that.
With regard to the drones and all the preparatory work that DHS does and the government does for the NFL and for FIFA, does the NFL pay DHS for the work you do?
Boy, not to my knowledge. I will.
Well, I mean, here's my point. The NFL makes billions of dollars. We're $2 trillion in the hole. I don't care if government shares their technology and government helps out the World Cup. They ought to pay.
Yeah,
people are paying hundreds of dollars for tickets. I mean, thousands of dollars for the NFL, for Super Bowl and things. They're also paying for FIFA. And so these people ought to pay. And so I'm one holding up these authorizations, and I'll let them go forward. But I want people to pay. I mean, it's ridiculous that the average taxpayer who could never afford to go to an NFL Super Bowl has got to pay for their security. Should the government help? If we have technology they don't? Perhaps. But they ought to pay. So NFL, FIFA, I think they ought to pay. And we'll be insisting on trying to put language in that. If you're a for-profit entity and the government's helping you, you ought to pay for it. With regard to TSA Quiet Skies and Tulsi Gabbard situation, I suspect there are going to be other people that were caught up in this thing as well. I'm horrified by the idea that we took a former congresswoman and we're surveilling her and riding on jets with her. There was another story of an air marshal whose wife, might have been at January 6th or something, and now we're, have air marshals following another air marshal or his wife. So I want to hear the whole story of what happened. I want to hear that people have been let go, that they're no longer doing this. If there were abuses of Tulsi Gabbard's liberties, I want to hear from that. But I want repercussions to come from this. And I think you've said something's coming. Please let us know, and let us know how the program the destruction of civil liberties can be minimized. I frankly probably have trouble with the whole program, but let's see if there's some way. But we need significant reform. If it needs legislation, please come to us with that. Thank you for your testimony today.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Secretary Noem, for being here.
During a tense exchange at the Kristi Noem hearing, lawmakers zeroed in on a number that immediately raised eyebrows. $46.5 billion. That is the amount the administration is requesting for continued border wall construction. But when senators began breaking down the numbers in real time, something did not add up. Let's walk through what happened and why it matters. The U.S. southern border stretches roughly 1,950 miles, According to testimony, about 702 miles already have some form of barrier. Of that, 598 miles are steel bollard wall, while the rest are temporary structures. That leaves around 1,200 miles without fencing. However, not all of that land is realistically buildable. Large portions are mountainous, remote, or naturally fortified by rivers and terrain. Lawmakers suggested that perhaps only about 1,000 miles would even be practical for wall construction. Now, here is where the numbers start to raise serious questions. Customs and Border Protection has previously estimated the costs at around $6.5 million per mile. During the hearing, Secretary Nielsen cited a figure closer to $12 million per mile. Even if we take the higher number, 12 million multiplied by 1,000 miles equals $12 billion. So how do we get from 12 billion to 46.5 billion? That $34 billion gap became the heart of the confrontation. When pressed, Secretary Noem explained that the funding request was not solely for steel and concrete. It would also include infrastructure, contracts already issued, future contracts pending, technology, and related operational investments. Since the president took office, she noted, more than 70 additional miles have been erected, 11 contracts have been awarded, with 5 more pending. But here is the deeper issue viewers need to understand. Border infrastructure is rarely just about physical barriers. Modern border enforcement includes surveillance systems, access roads, lighting, sensors, drones, personnel facilities, environmental mitigation, land acquisition, and legal compliance costs.